Welcome into the State of Sports podcast. There's no weekly wrap-up this week. It's just debate only. We have Nomar Garciaparra, who Morgan is taking, and then we have Dustin Pedroia, who Nick is taking. It's an inside joke for you folks that you had to be there. We will express that joke once the interview that we did came out. Really quick, Nick just kept getting called Stan the entire time, but it was a fun interview. It was cool.
Very funny.
Yep, very funny. But yeah, we got Nomar versus Dustin Pedroia, two Red Sox legends. I'm curious to see what angles of the debate that we're going to go with. So out of you two gentlemen, who would like to go first?
I think I went first like the last two times.
Morgan, you're going first.
But also, I just wanted to add really quick. Matt saying he was interested to see what angle we come at, and I was just so ready to be like, sir, my message is simple. Anyway, yeah, Morgan, you can go first, Morgan.
I mean, I guess I'll take.
Morgan was more prepared than me, so he's got the time to go first.
Sure. So Nomar Garciaparra, or as you know, most people like to call him Mr. Ham, as his wife is super soccer player, international star Mia Hamm.
John Hamm? Sorry.
Nomar was a 6-time All-Star. He won Rookie of the Year, where he finished 7th in the MVP voting that year.
That's pretty impressive.
His Silver Slugger, 2-time batting champ, with some crazy numbers on those 2 batting titles he has. 229 home runs, which is more than Pedroia. 1,747 hits. He had a .313 batting average, and his claim to fame is hitting 2 grand slams in one game, which is pretty goddamn impressive.
I was at that.
Matt was at that game. Yep.
I was at that. They won that game 24-4. Nomar hit 2 grand slams and a 3-run home run. Keep in mind, this was on his birthday.
Yeah.
Yep. And Manny hit 2 home runs that game too. I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
I remember you going to that game. Your mom took you there.
Yeah, and the game before that, Derek Lowe threw his no-hitter. Talk about 2 back-to-back games at Fenway. No big deal. Dude, 2000s Red Sox is just the fucking best, man.
Was that the same year Hideo Noma opened the season with a no-hitter?
I don't know. I'll Google it while you continue your debate.
I'm good. I'll leave it there for my opening argument because this Nomar's so much better.
Okay. So yeah. I noticed just right off the bat, though, Morgan, you said he had more home runs than Dustin Pedroia. So that's cool. But then you said hits, and you didn't follow it up with that's less than Dustin Pedroia. So I just thought that was interesting because Dustin Pedroia has 1,800 hits to Nomar's 1,747. Anyway, Dustin Pedroia, also Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, the Wilson Overall Defensive Player of the Year award. That's a pretty good one. Just going to brush this under the rug real quick. 2-time World Series champion.
Easy.
Small. And he didn't come in 7th in MVP voting, but one year he did come in 1st.
He did?
And that's what I'll leave my opening argument.
Oh, I like this short, sweet, to the point. You guys are throwing jabs back and forth. Woo! I like that.
Let's jump across right here. So Dustin Pedroia's MVP season would have been about Nomar's 5th best season in his career. So in Pedroia's MVP season, he had 213 hits, 118 runs. He had 17 homers with 83 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, and a .326 average. Let's go to Nomar's rookie year, where he had 209 hits, 122 runs scored, 30 homers, 98 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, and .306 average in a season where Ken Griffey Jr. won the MVP with 56 homers.
Wait. Who'd you say?
Ken Griffey.
We might be able to end the debate right there.
So that season already is better than Pedroia's. Let's go to 98, where Juan Gonzalez won MVP, hitting 45 homers on 157 RBIs, where Nomar hit 323 with 35 home runs, 111 RBIs, 122 runs driven in, 111 runs, sorry. That was the 98 season. In 99, Ivan Rodriguez won MVP with 35 homers and 113 RBIs. Pedro was in 2nd that year.
Well, I mean, Pedro 99 is
-3.
Untouchable.
But But in that
Whatever.
year, Nomar hit 357 with 27 homers and 104 RBIs.
357 is such
Okay,
an
so-
outrageous
So
average.
that's already 3 seasons better than Pedroia's MVP season. Let's go to 2000, where Giambi won MVP, hitting 43 homers and 137 RBIs. In a season which Nomar finished second in the MVP voting, hitting 372, 104 runs, 21 homers, and 96 RBIs.
How does he
hold
not
on.
win MVP?
The two
I'm gonna answer that for you
back-to-backs,
after.
the two back-to-back seasons where Nomar hit over 350 and 375 was the first time the batting champion had hit over 350 since Joe DiMaggio. And he has the highest batting average in a single season since the World War II era.
That's insane.
Well,
My work phone is going off at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night. I just want that on the record.
sounds like a great time to not answer it. So Morgan, that was a lot of great numbers, and I appreciated all that information. Nomar Garciaparra was a beast. Nobody on this show is going to say otherwise. That's much as a fact. But I did hear a lot of he was, second best a lot. It was never the best player in the league, despite whether or not Nomar Garciaparra's seasons were better than Dustin Pedroia's MVP
They were
season.
by far better.
Not the point. The point was that at no point Nomar Garciaparra's career was he the best in the league. Dustin Pedroia was at least
Because,
once.
he had to deal with a bunch of guys on steroids. So,
In Dustin Pedroia's 2008 season, he hit 326 with 17 home runs. Not too shabby. He was the first ever Red Sox second baseman to win the Silver Slugger that year. The first Red Sox second baseman to win the Golden Glove since Doug Griffin in 1972. He was the first Doug Griffin in 1972. He was the last guy to do it. Keep up. He was the first second baseman to win an American League MVP award since Nellie Fox in 1959.
Again, don't know who that is.
He only made 6 errors across 157 games that year. So defensively, he was.
I'll give you that. That's
Right.
impressive.
That's very
He became that year only the third player in MLB history to win Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player in consecutive seasons, with Cal Ripken Jr., Ryan Howard, and later on in the career, Chris Bryant. Modern. Not
Modern.
too shabby for Dustin Pedroia.
Not too bad for some of that's like 5'7".
He's 5'9". And
5'7".
also, can we just real quick go back, because Morgan called Nomar Mr. Ham as his nickname, which Noma is a cooler one. But Dustin Pedroia's got the cooler nickname, dude. The Laser Show, the Muddy Chicken.
I mean,
Way cooler
PD
nicknames.
is really cool.
PD is cool too.
bro, no, doesn't matter what fucking nickname Pedroia has. Nothing is
Noma!
better. Nothing's better than in a Boston accent back in the day here. Noma.
Now, that is like that. So that is a good segue into something I wanted to bring up around Nomar. And I've talked about it before. I actually was talking about it with somebody else on Facebook from Rounding Third Podcast. So go check them out. No free plugs. But
Free plug. Go check out Rounding Third Podcast. They record they're live on YouTube every Monday night at 8 p.m.
Yes.
We love them. Nick, Harrison, Sean. Love all you guys. You guys do a great job.
So I was actually just talking about this. Nomar, when Matt just said, like, there's nothing better back then. Screaming Nomar, and shit. Kind of a forgotten hero of the Red Sox, because he played with them for so long. He was such a staple. And then he went away before he could eventually get what he was chasing all those years with them and never won a championship. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
I equated it
in the 04 World Series, but
I equated it to that would have been like Paul Pierce struggling all those years in the dark times of the Celtics and then left the year before they won. That's, where would Paul Pierce be now? It's just he's kind of swept under the rug now. Not a lot of people talk about Nomar anymore.
it sounds like you're making a case we don't talk about Nomar enough.
Yeah, the thing
it's to his credit and also a detriment to his credit.
I think it's also age. I think it's very age, just like discrepant, because like me, like I remember Nomar, like not just because I was at that game, luckily, but like what are the chances that I'm at that game? But like still, it's like I remember Nomar because I grew up with who was the better shortstop, A-Rod, Jeter, or Nomar. That was an actual conversation.
I mean, and as much as I love Jeter, let's talk about that for a second. Nomar wasn't number 3.
He definitely was not number 3.
But that, I think that's just like, that's the underlying theme of Nomar's career with all the MVPs, the championship, and even with the shortstop debate stuff, even though he wasn't looked at it as the time, but
Yeah.
as we look at it now, the theme is just coming up short all the time for Nomar. Never
So-
really fulfilling what he needed to fulfill.
So I'm gonna
Did about as
ask-
much as he could in the baseball sense.
I'm gonna ask a question to you, Nick, because it's very similar to the point you just posed about Nomar. So you talk about Nomar getting swept under the rug because of the the World Series championships and stuff. My argument is, or not argument, my question is, Dustin Pedroia, I could say the same thing because nobody talks about that MVP season from Pedroia. When you talk about those Red Sox, you talk about David Ortiz. So what is your rebuttal to that?
I mean, the fact that he was with, well, who was he playing with? It was 2008 season.
Yep.
So we weren't looking at Big Poppy. Well, yeah, we were.
Yeah, we
but
were.
The fact that he was playing with them should be a testament to him. He still got MVP playing with David Ortiz.
Yeah. No,
But at no point was Dustin Pedroia ever the best player on that team.
But he was the best player in the league, so it doesn't matter.
yeah,
That is not
He's the most valuable player in the AL.
okay.
It's
I don't
irrefutable.
agree that means you're the best player. I don't.
Okay, it doesn't have to be the
If,
best.
if that's the
However you
case,
wanna word it,
Nomar
semantics.
should have won the MVP 14 years in a row.
But the fact that he won it is like you can't take it away from him.
But when people talk about the Red Sox teams that he was on, he's probably the third one they mentioned.
But he was so important to those teams.
Nomar was not even
Defensively and
arguable. He was
offensively.
about the best player on the team when he was on the Red Sox.
But when you look back on it, it's Pedro and Manny.
Manny came after.
That is true, yeah.
Manny came at the end of Nomar.
Right at
Yeah,
the end, yeah.
Manny came at the end of 03.
When you think about those, I mean, Pedro was always
I mean,
Nomar was never better than what Pedro was.
But he was the best hitter on that team.
yeah, he was the
Sure.
best position
He
player.
wasn't even. Nomar might have been the best hitter in the league.
Oh, I
There's
mean,
an argument to be made for that.
if
Other
you
than,
hit-
like Ken Griffey Jr., like
I mean,
If you-
he hit 357 and 372.
if you hit 372, that's absurd. Like,
What's the league average in baseball right now? About like 230.
I mean, yeah. So really quick, I just want this for reference. So he beat out. This was the competition for MVP for Pedroia. And I'm gonna say this isn't a knock to Nick's argument. I'm not arguing against Nick because my argument is you play who's in front of you. So he had to beat out Justin Morneau, his teammate Euculus, and then record-setting closer for the Angels, Francisco Rodriguez. That was that same year. That's crazy. So that was who he beat out. He got 16 out of the 28 first place votes.
so, obviously the dude wasn't beating Hall of
No.
Famers to get
Well,
MVP that year.
Yeah, he led the league in hit. I mean, he still led the league in hits, runs, and doubles. So I mean, no
I mean,
slouch.
it was a deserved MVP. Like
Yeah,
it's not like they just threw it to somebody and was like, here you go.
Hey man, like I said, it's always my argument. You play who's in front of you.
And I mean, we haven't, really touched on it. I don't think we need to touch on it too much just because as important as it is, I think it's also kind of a moot point. The 2 championships are glaring at you.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a big factor. And he's got an MVP award right after Rookie of the Year. These are tough things to overcome.
Yeah, and Nomar is the far superior playoff hitter as well. It's not even close.
And I'll bring this back to the Ray Allen and Reggie Miller with nothing to show for it. So
Baseball is such a different game, though. You can only do a ninth of a job.
sure, that's true. But I mean, if you're going to talk about how good he is in the postseason, he has got no success to show for it.
Pedroia
He was
got
still one of the
carried.
he was still one of their better hitters in his,
He
their
hit
2 postseasons.
233 in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
in
the
his
whole team
career.
as a whole struggled to hit 239. So
But he hit 233, 5 homers, 24 RBIs. Nomar hit 321 with 7 RBIs, or 7 homers, 24 RBIs. He had an OPS of almost 1,000 in the playoffs.
and they lost, and Pedroia won. So
Yeah, they won because of David Ortiz. Let's not even.
sure, but they're glaring at you. That's
all right.
it's a piece on the board.
All right.
Nomar is by far the better player, and it's not close.
Talk about these guys off the field. What have they contributed to their communities? Give me some of that.
Dustin's, I mean, a huge staple in Boston. He nobody really wanted him to leave. He was injured. He came back. He was injured. And even when he came back in 2011 after his injury, a lot of people said it was another MVP caliber season after an injury, which is pretty impressive to come back from. But I think both of these dudes, this isn't exactly the question you asked, but like both of these dudes had a fall off.
Nomar more significant. Nomar only had about 6 seasons. All the numbers he accumulated were about 6 seasons.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't attribute the word longevity with Dustin Pedroia, but it is there a little bit more than Nomar Garciaparra. He had a little bit more of a consistency across a longer period of time.
It's just, yeah. Continue. I'm not the one making the argument.
But I mean, he's in the. I mean, he was inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame. He means a lot to that city.
So
and yeah, so is Nomar. It's it's kind of an invalid point, I guess. It cancels it out.
No.
But I mean, he means a lot for the city. He was one of those just real gritty players. Size didn't matter. He was a 5'9" dude getting out there, just diving around, doing what needed to be done. People loved him here.
I don't know. When I think of Dustin Pedroia, I can't think of his highlights. Like I don't really think of anything outside of him winning an MVP of like.
I mean, no much the highlight of the Grand Slams.
And exactly, like I don't remember anything on the field that Pedroia has really done outside of winning an MVP.
I think his body of work would be considered the highlight.
Does Nomar have any gold
season.
gloves?
No.
Dustin Pedroia has 4.
Yeah.
I think
easier position to field, but also still you play your position.
Yeah, and also Dustin Pedroia started off as a shortstop, and then he moved to second base when he got to the majors.
Didn't have the arm for it.
I don't know. I think like Morgan was bringing up the highlights, whatever. Nomar's got those highlights, but I think an MVP season is a highlight in itself.
When I had 4 seasons that are better than that MVP season.
It's the MVP is definitely glaring. But so anything off the field of note?
So Nomar, when he was at his uncle's, I think he was at his uncle's or he was in his condo, he heard 2 women drowning outside of the Boston Harbor and dove in immediately and saved both of them.
Oh, guy's goddamn American hero.
His wife is Team USA, and he saved 2 women. Like, what's more American than that?
I mean, that's a pretty good one.
It's pretty awesome.
I mean, Pedroia was a cover athlete for MLB The Show. It's not exactly saving 2 drowning bitches, but it's still pretty good.
Damn.
I mean, like, what were they doing?
How they fall in?
Why were they in there? Were they shit faced?
Boston, they were probably shit faced.
I mean, nothing better.
I mean, Dustin
Nomar
Pedroia
saved 2 lives. How many lives has Dustin Pedroia saved?
Dustin Pedroia has saved thousands of lives with his own authored children's book about the autobiography of Wally the Green Monster. He's kept kids off the streets.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
And in turn, I would imagine has kept them out of the harbor as well.
Sure.
You can't be in the harbor if you're reading this book.
That's true. All right, gentlemen. Any final points?
Well, I just want to say, so when we talked about comps with Nomar, it was A-Rod and Derek Jeter. Those are 2 all-time greats. I don't know who the comp is for Pedroia and who's on his level. Like, I don't think there's anybody like all-time great-wise that Pedroia
so he gets bashed for being the best at his position.
But
no competition.
But you guys said he was arguably better than A-Rod and Jeter, who are all-time greats at shortstop. I don't think of Pedroia in that sense.
I definitely don't think he was better than A-Rod, but I think this is an argument to be made that he was definitely better than Jeter.
His peak is hard. It's a hard. That 372 is a glaring number.
372 is impossible. Like, nobody hits 372. Nobody hits 300 anymore.
Not anymore.
And also, for your argument, Nick, Pedroia's MVP and 2 rings, it's glaring numbers,
Yeah, MVP, 2 rings, and the MVP came right after, Rookie of the Year. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Plus, defensively, I think the Gold Gloves and everything, he was better than Nomar. Nomar was definitely better offensively, for sure. That's not even debatable.
Nomar put asses in seats.
You sure did. Yeah, I'm looking up other second baseman now in the 2008 season for at least his MVP season, and we got Chase Utley. So that's something.
That's a guy. That's a guy.
Yeah, yeah, Chase Utley.
Shit, I mean, Nomar even had Miguel Tejada.
All right.
But I mean, I just think like, I don't know. It's tough to put a negative point against somebody for just being the best at their position with no competition. So
it's a very fair point. I've reached my decision. Nick, this is no slight to your argument, but I'm going with Nomar for the sole fact that I like Nomar more.
And
here's my thing. And you know, I understand Nick's argument. I mean, MVP. Yes, it's in a down year for them. That's not his fault, but that's the reality of it. I just think hitting 372 is more impressive than winning an MVP. Just because that's 28 points away from 400, and last person to do that was Ted Williams with 406. It's just that's such an unbelievable peak season. It's essentially, if we were going to do it, I mean, we will do an argument. This is kind of spoiler alert. If you guys ever argue Pedro versus somebody that's kind of close to him, I'm going Pedro just based off the 99 season. Because if you have a peak,
well, then why would we ever do it?
That's spoiler alert.
Bob Gibson in '68 had a better season. But.
I'm just saying though, if you have a peak that ridiculous, and if I remember that peak, you're probably going to win the argument. And plus, I was at a game where Nomar hit 2 grand slams and a 3-run home run. I can't not pick the guy.
I think this is the first time on the podcast where we've had the non-champion beat a champion.
Yeah, I think so. And Nick, it was no, disrespect to your argument. It was a great argument. I'm just going with Nomar because I like Nomar more.
My 20 minutes of prep is all I needed.
Morgan, don't be a dick.
You didn't need 20 minutes of prep for Matt to go to a game 20 years ago.
Fair. Absolutely. So like we said, there's no weekly wrap up this week. We're dropping this episode. It's going to come out Saturday morning, May 7th. Saturday night, Nick will not be with us tonight.
I'll be
in Boston. He will be at Fenway Park. I may send, if you have Zoom on your phone, I may send you a little invite to see if we can get a nice little view of the field, but Morgan and I will be live streaming and talking during the Golden State Memphis Grizzlies game, which I can't wait for. John Morant's electric. Super excited for that. We'll have Nick pop in. No Dylan Brooks. So I'm sure we're going to have some guests come through. I'm going to send out some invites, some texts. Hopefully people are able to join us in chat. If not, pop on the show for half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever you got time for. More than happy to have you. Again, please make sure your guys are liking the video on YouTube, subscribing, hitting the bell notification, and on the podcast, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars if you're enjoying what you're hearing. Write a nice little review, or you could give us 1 star and tell us we suck. That's fine too, as long as we're getting some feedback. We'd appreciate it. For Morgan
Dan and for Matt, see you guys later.
That's it.